The learning outcome of this module is to understand ways to gracefully handle emotionally charged situations. Let's get started.
We're going to talk about the action steps to gracefully handle emotionally charged situations. The first thing is to understand what sets you off. Emotions are critical for understanding our world, but sometimes they can do more harm than good, right? Typically, our brain processes information in what's called the neocortex, and that's the part of our brain which is responsible for logical and rational thought. But when we're experiencing intense emotion, information is routed to another part of our brain. It's called the amygdala, which triggers a fight or flight response in our brains. And our brain physically becomes unable to reason. When this kind of hijack occurs, we often regret how we behave in the heat of the emotion or the heat of the situation. So in order to avoid this, what was I thinking curse, you should actively identify your fight or flight triggers. These are the first signs that you feel when you feel yourself losing composure. Write them down. And then for each of those situations, practice an alternative response so that you're building that muscle. You can rehearse a more effective reaction or even memorize a go-to phrase so that when you're in a similar situation and you feel those emotions coming on, you're ready to keep your cool. And as I said, it's important that you practice rather than just think about this response because you need to build that muscle. It's just like going to the gym. If you don't actually practice it, it's not actually going to happen. Next, if you find yourself in an emotionally charged situation, buy some time. If you feel triggered, the best thing to do is don't say anything at all. You can ask a clarifying question or count to 10 or excuse yourself from the room or suspend the meeting. You can, sleep on it. You can take a day to think about it before you react. Because research in psychology has shown that the mere act of buying yourself a few seconds or buying yourself some time can just radically decrease your fight or flight response and allow you to think more rationally about how you want to respond or make your next move. Next, reframe your mind. When someone triggers a negative emotional response from you, remember that you must maintain the relationship and be careful to not appear defensive. In that particular moment, you want to remind yourself of one thing that you appreciate about that person. You can't be angry and appreciative at the same time. Then you want to focus all your effort on fully understanding their position and the interests that they have. Whenever you're in doubt in a situation like that, always try to ask a question instead of making a statement, such as, can you tell me why you see things that way? Because that's going to unpack the situation and give you a lot more data. And above all, instead of telling yourself a story that you're being targeted or persecuted or blamed by this person, reframe the story you tell yourself. For example, instead of being dismissal of your idea, perhaps someone is asking questions to show if they're interested. Finally, manage small frustrations. Often, a lack of composure is triggered by stress. Make it a point to address what may seem like small frustrations to prevent a buildup of resentment and a large outburst, a flashpoint later on. As soon as you notice your trigger at an appropriate moment, say to whomever you're communicating with, hey, I've been feeling some small frustrations about this, and I want to talk with you about them before they snowball and become a bigger issue. Then share your honest reactions and brainstorm ideas to minimize these frustrations so that you can move forward in congruence with the other person.
We hope that you found this module on staying composed useful. Remember, there's a complete transcript of this video below, and there are downloadable takeaways that you can use offline. Also, leave us a comment below about how you're better at staying composed today, or leave us a comment about how we can make this section better. Thanks.